She stands in his doorway, doesn't sit, doesn't soften. I trusted you with that presentation. He feels it before she says the next part, the blame coming like a wave. Not because of what happened, but because she needs someone else to carry it. The numbers you provided weren't clear enough. We completely undersold ourselves. If you had actually communicated the data properly, instead of throwing confusing slides at them, we'd still have the deal. I can't believe you let this happen. He wants to say something. He showed her the slides beforehand. She approved them. She was the one who decided to skip the rehearsal call because she was too busy. But the words don't come. Instead, he feels something shift inside him. A crack opening. Maybe she's right. Maybe he really did miss something. Maybe he wasn't clear enough. And the strangest part is, for just a second, he almost believes her. There are people who move through life like this. Not people who make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. But people who have learned something specific. When things go wrong, the answer is never, I failed. The answer is always, you failed. It's not a lie they tell you. It's a lie they tell themselves first. When something breaks, their brain does something almost automatic. It doesn't stop and think. It doesn't pause to examine. It just moves. Faster than thought. And it finds someone. Not randomly. Never randomly. It finds the person least likely to fight back. The person who questions themselves first. The person who cares about keeping the peace. The person who, deep down, fears that maybe, just maybe, they really are responsible. That person becomes the answer. Why do they do this? It starts before the blame. It starts with the failure. She sits there, looking at the numbers, feeling the weight. Her chest tightens. There's a voice in her head that says, I wasn't good enough. I didn't prepare. I missed something. And that voice is unbearable. Because somewhere in her past, she learned that being wrong wasn't safe. That failure wasn't just something she did. It was something she was. So her brain does what it's been trained to do. It runs. Not physically, internally. It looks around. It finds the person closest to her. The person who was also involved. And before she's even conscious of doing it, she's already rewritten the story. It wasn't me. It was him. If he had only... And the detail that she approved the slides. Her brain doesn't erase it exactly. It just softens it, makes it less important, turns it into, well, I approved them quickly because he presented them so poorly. The narrative rewrites itself in real time. By the time she stands in his doorway, she doesn't feel like she's lying. She feels like she's finally seeing the truth. In that same moment, two different worlds are happening. In his world, he's replaying the presentation, noticing the details, holding himself accountable, wondering what he could have done better, feeling the shame of letting the team down. And then her words land, and suddenly, the shame shifts, becomes confusion. Did I really do this? Was I really that unclear? He starts to doubt what he knows about himself. Not dramatically, just a small crack in his certainty. In her world, something different is happening. She's not thinking about the presentation anymore. She's feeling the relief of the story shifting, the weight lifting off her shoulders, the shame moving somewhere else. She doesn't feel guilty for blaming him. She feels righteous. She feels like she's finally being honest about what went wrong. Over time, this becomes a pattern. The project fails. It's his lack of planning. The deadline slips. It's his poor communication. The team member quits. It's everyone else's fault for not being a better fit. And the person being blamed becomes smaller. They stop offering ideas. They stop pushing back when they disagree. They question their own judgment on things that have nothing to do with work. The blame doesn't feel like blame anymore. It feels like truth. Meanwhile, the person who blames gets to keep moving forward, unburdened, protected by the narrative they've constructed. But there's a cost hidden beneath that protection. Because the thing she's running from is still there. The voice that says, "You weren't good enough." She never has to face it. Because there's always someone else to blame. And never having to face it means never having to change, never having to grow, never having to discover that maybe she's stronger than she thinks. The thing about moving blame outward is that it works. It works in the moment. The relief is real, but shame doesn't disappear when you move it. It just waits. And when it comes back, and it always comes back, you need to move it again. So the pattern continues, and the person being blamed is still standing there, holding a failure that isn't theirs, wondering if they're the problem. Maybe the real question isn't, how do I stop someone from blaming me? Maybe it's, what are they so afraid of that they can't face it alone? What does it cost them, really cost them, to spend a lifetime running from themselves? Maybe understanding that changes how you see them, not as someone cruel, but as someone stuck, someone who chose to move the shadow instead of turning to face it. And that choice, made again and again, is the loneliest prison of all.